voice of the lonely goat herd. Lay, yodelay, yodeloo. One little girl in a pale pink coat herd. She yodeled back to the lonely goat herd. High on the hill was a lonely goat herd. Lay, yodelay, yodeloo. Loud was the voice of the lonely goat herd. Lay, yodelay, yodeloo. Folks in a town that was quite remote herd. Lay, yodelay, yodeloo. Lost and clear from the goat herd's throat herd. Lay, yodelay, yodeloo. Her mama with the gleaming cloth herd. What a duet for a girl and goat herd. Yodelay, yoo-hoo.
Ain't nobody on the road, ain't nobody on the beach. I feel it in the air, the summer's out of reach. Empty lake, empty street, the sun goes down low. I'm driving by your house, though I know you're not home. 'Cause I can see you, your brown skin shining in the sun. I see your hair come back and your sunglasses on, baby. I can tell you my love for you will still be strong after the boys of summer have gone. I never will forget those nights. I wonder if it was a dream. Remember how I made you crazy? Remember how you made me scream? Well, I don't understand what happened to our love, but babe, I'm gonna get you back. Gonna show you what I'm made of. 'Cause I can see you, your brown skin shining in the sun. I see you walking real slow and you're smiling at everyone. And I can tell you my love for you will still be saw a deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. A voice inside my head said, don't look back, you can never look back. I thought I knew what love was, what did I know? Those days are gone forever, I should just let them go. But I can see you, your brown skin shining in the sun. You got the top pulled back and radio on, baby. I can tell you my love for you will still be strong after the boys of summer have gone.
It's 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday. That means it's time for the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz. Welcome everyone. I hope that you have all successfully joined the stream. If any of your friends are having trouble, you can always try posting your questions onto the YouTube comment thread, which I will start following in just a minute. We have some exciting news for you today. As you may recall, last week we had a little bit of excitement where, due to a technical oversight, some teams' answers did not get submitted. In fact, 2 teams got left out at the final reckoning. It turned out those 2 teams both did very well. The lockdown haircuts and Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me both came in at 103 points for joint first place in last week's quiz. I hear you ask me, if it was joint first place, Chris, who won? Well, of course the answer is no one has yet, so we are going to go for the 1 week afterwards quick tiebreaker before we start the real quiz this week. Isn't that exciting? So hopefully, if everything is working, I am now going to bring in Rich representing the lockdown haircuts. Rich, how are you doing today? I do not have Rich's audio, so this is the thing when you do these things first. Let's just have a second to see whether we can get that activated. Okay, Rich, sorry, how are you doing? That is still not working. That is killing me. Why, oh why? This is a shame. Look how smart he looks, and I haven't got his voice. What is a man to do? Let's just check it isn't at Rich's end. Let's try bringing up Andrew. Andrew, can we hear you? This is awkward. All right, guys, I am going to get the quiz started, and we're going to try and come back to Andrew and Rich for the tiebreaker in a little while. By the way, guys, could you nod your heads if you are hearing me, because you answered me. So where is your audio gone? Okay, I'm hearing that. Is everyone hearing me now? I see on the chat that we've been told that I was also inaudible. So I think I should be heard. Anyway, let's take the boys off. So we'll try and come back to that a little bit later. Welcome everyone to the Quizcazoatl, always seamlessly technologically organised pub quiz. We are the Publess Pub Quiz that happens every Tuesday at 8 o'clock with me, Little Chris. If you haven't got a nominated team yet, you need to find a team, and one of your team needs to get working on the answers. We have a Google Forms answer sheet, which you can find at bit.ly/quizcazoatl_answers. Those links are also available on the YouTube page or the Facebook page. There's also a picture round to download. It went up about 15 minutes ago, and that is available to download at bit.ly/quizcazoatl_pictures. Very, very simple. So the Quizcazoatl Pub Quiz is a quiz in 4 rounds. We have round 1. We have a music round identifying songs by listening. We have round 3, which is round 2. Confusingly, I should rename that. Anyway, we have round 2 after the music round, and then finally we have the wipeout round where it gets exciting. You submit your answers through the Google form, and if you are kind enough to include your email address when you submit your round 1 answers, we will ask you to do some marking to help us all move through everything smoothly. It's that simple. What a great deal. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying the lockdown. Without further ado, while I try to get the sound working for the tie break, let's go to question 1. So question 1 this week, a nice easy one to ease you in. How many hulls does a catamaran have? We're asking, how many hulls does a catamaran have? Okay, and seeing as that was a pretty easy one to see us in, let's also go on to question number 2, which is... So question 2 is going to be, epilation is the removal of what? Epilation is the removal of what? Okay now, so for question 3, we're going to go to the pictures. There's a lot of pictures in the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz picture round. If you've managed to download the file, and you should have, you will see there are 14 picture questions. Those are going to be scattered through the rest of the quiz. There's going to be 7 in the first half and 7 in round 2. A little bit of a tip, it's worth looking ahead, or else you will find that you are chasing to finish at the end. Anyway, question 3 brings us neatly on to picture 1. And picture 1 is asking us to identify some famous bird brains. Bird people? Bird law. Anyway, here we have 6 famous-ish faces. Can you name all of them, giving us only the bird-related part of their name? That means if you know who they are, but you don't know what a bird is, you'll have to guess. Tell us who these people are and what is the bird-related part of their name. Okay everybody, we are still beavering away trying to work out why my video conferencing is on mute. In the meantime, let us whiz on to question 4. Getting a little bit more difficult now, unless you know the answer, in which case it's easy. Lexus is the luxury vehicle division of which well-known car manufacturer? Lexus is the luxury vehicle division of which well-known car manufacturer? Okay, I've had a request for questions 1 and 2 again. I'm just going to flash those up on the plinth for anyone who started a little bit late. If you are having any trouble with questions, message me in the way you think fit, but best of all, send me a message via the YouTube comment box. That is where I will see you, hopefully, most quickly. Okay, gang, let's move on without further ado to question number, where are we going here? Question number 5. This is a question about aeroplanes. You used to be able to go on an aeroplane before the event. Remember, stay indoors. Anyway, if you remember flying, I'm going to put my arms out like an aeroplane to illustrate. If you remember flying, what is the official air traffic control call sign of a US Air Force aircraft carrying the US President? What is the official air traffic control call sign of a USAF aircraft carrying the US President? Okay, gang, and that is going to take us on to question 6. Question 6 is bringing us back to the pictures. Let's get that up. So, here we have some Venn diagrams. It's taking set theory and, if anything, making it even more fun than normal. But what are the answers? What fits into both of these sets? In the example, we see planets overlapping with chocolate bars. Can you imagine a planet made out of chocolate? It'd be like an enormous Easter egg. Anyway, there's 3 more of those to solve, but can you get those answers? Okay, as you know, we keep pushing along in the Quizcazoatl quiz. So question 7 is coming up now, and the question is going to be about astronomy, or at the very least planet spotting. Which planet in our solar system has the Great Red Spot in its atmosphere? I'll give you a clue. It's not a teenager, it's incredibly old. Okay, and that brings us on to question 8. We keep moving fast in the Quizcazoatl quiz broadcast. It's something to keep an eye on, and I have a lot of things to keep an eye on, so sometimes I sound confused. Anyway, aside from my pop-ups, question 8. What is the only European Union, Brexit means Brexit mate, country that has exactly 9 letters in its common English name? Not an unusual name you wouldn't normally say. The common English name has 9 letters, but which European Union member state is it? Okay, everyone, we are going to try this once more for the tiebreak that we missed out on last week. So, this was all meant to happen before the quiz, and it would have been an exciting introduction that we would have built on and learned from. But as it happens, it's all been a bit of a palaver because we haven't done this before, but it's exciting. So, let's bring back our contestants. First off, we have Andrew for Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's great to have you here. Where are you calling from, Andrew?
London.
It's great. I've been to London. It's really an exciting place to go out and about when you're not staying indoors. Let's also bring up Rich. Rich is joining from the Lockdown Haircuts. Hi, Rich.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm great. Did you steal that jacket from Jim Bowen?
We are actually having an 80s theme for this week, so I'm in a Miami Vice look.
Well, you
And
couldn't
there are
look
other looks
better.
too.
Anyway, guys, this is the tiebreak for the honour of first place last time. Let's explain what we're doing. I'm going to give 3 clues that will point you towards a year. It's quite a long time ago, so I'm going to say plus or minus 3 years in either direction. When one of you guys know it, or your team, if you're managing to coordinate with them, then you can tell me. If you get it right, you've won the quiz. If you get it wrong, we'll hand it over to the other team, and then we will take turns until someone gets close enough, or we get bored and go off. So, remember, this is fastest finger first, and we don't really have buzzers, so if you think you have an answer, just say, honk. First clue coming up. What year is this? The Marie Celeste set sail from New York, bound for Genoa, Italy. That's difficult. Let's try for the second clue. Second clue. Yellowstone was established as the first national park in the United States and possibly the world. Oh, it's a killer. I see you want to, but I'm going to the third clue. Third clue. The first ever final of the FA Cup was called the Football Association Challenge. We have no one willing to bet, in which case I think I am going to have to go to... Let's see, I am going to flip a coin, and I'm just going to ask someone first, and then we'll see whoever gets closest. So, do I have a coin here? All right, Andrew, heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads it is. Andrew, guess the year. We had the Marie Celeste set sail, Yellowstone was declared a national park, and the first ever final of the FA Cup.
1882.
Andrew says 1882. Rich, what's your guess?
I'd say 1898.
1898. The real answer is... We also have Andrew's teammates coming in slightly late, suggesting 1890. The answer is 1872. Andrew, sounds a bit hippie to me. You have won last week's pub quiz. Rich and the guys at the Lockdown Haircuts, better luck today. Thanks everyone for joining. Apologies for the technical difficulties, and enjoy the rest of the quiz.
Well done, Andrew.
Have a good one.
Okay, gang, I think that brings us to another picture round question. So let's go straight on to picture 3. I hope you enjoyed the intervention there. So we have some more American state name etymologies. Can you tell me what the basis for these American state names is? Okay, everybody. That's good for the pictures. Let's get back to the real questions. And now we're going on to question 10. We're halfway through round 1, and even with the tiebreaker, we're not running that far behind. Anyway, question 10. Named by Captain Cook in 1770, in which country would you find a mountain range called the Southern Alps? He was the man with the captain's hat. He chose the names. But in which country would you find a mountain range called the Southern Alps? Okay, and we might as well keep on moving because it's a long quiz. And let's go on to question 11. Question 11 is... where am I? Ah, it's about sport. Do you remember when people could be in the same place and do a sport against each other? It's not allowed anymore. You might die. Still, back in the day when there were no diseases, the first 3 finals in the Open era of the Men's Singles Championship at Wimbledon were completely populated by men from which country? Only one country was represented in the first 3 finals at the Open era at Wimbledon for the men's singles, but what country did those guys come from? And why did they have so many tennis courts? Okay, we're going to keep on moving along, and that is taking us back to the pictures. Question 12, let's move that on. We're going to a film question. So here you can see stills taken out of movies. Do you remember when you could go to the cinema and sit near people? It's all a death trap. Anyway, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pictures out of movies, but what were the movies? Okay, this brings us to the first spot prize for this week. For anyone who hasn't played the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz before, in case you didn't think we already had enough to do and enough to think about, we have 1 question in each round 1 and round 2 that you can enter as individuals by sending messages to me, ideally. Whoever gets the top answer, that's going to be the closest answer to reality on this, is going to get a shout out. I have been in negotiation for a sponsorship deal with a brewery, but they've literally run out of beer. You have ordered too much beer from Urban Alchemy. We are waiting until they restock before I am going to be able to pursue that avenue, but do check out Urban Alchemy. Nice bunch of lads. Anyway, after that crushing disappointment, let's see what the spot prize question is. In meters, in terms of height difference, how far is it from the top of Everest to the bottom of the Mariana Trench? I wouldn't recommend doing it on a sledge, but how far would you go vertically from the top of Everest to the bottom of the Mariana Trench? That's underwater. Send your answers to the Quizcazoatl email address, quizcazoatl@gmail.com, or send them to me on Facebook Messenger or something. The more you send them to the email address, the more I can guarantee I'll see them, but I'll try and look out for other ways as well. Okay, you're going to have a few minutes to think about that, and I'm going to keep spitting out questions because it is bang, bang, bang. In the Quizcazoatl pub quiz, can I do a bullet with my hand? No, I've lost that functionality. Killing me. Oh, that was it. There we are. Little gun. That's the chap. There we go. Anyway, I distract myself. We're going to go on to question 13 while you think about the spot prize. And question 13, in Prime Minister's Questions in the UK, or Prime Minister's Questions in the UK, is normally held on which day of the week? It's when the Leader of the Opposition gets to ask the Prime Minister questions, and then he delivers a bunch of set responses to a bunch of different questions. It's how we do democratic accountability. But what day of the week does it happen on? Okay, so for picture 14, we're going to move on to something that the young ones amongst you won't even remember. Can you believe, once upon a time, between having to talk to people only through internet chat rooms and whatever we do now, you could use numbers on your mobile telephone to send a message. But what numbers would these, or what words would these numbers spell out if you were talking about types of oil? You've got 2 to guess. Start cogitating through that brain space. Now, a question about things that collapse if you put too much pressure on them. It's not society in the wake of the event, it's Jenga. The question is, how many wooden blocks are in a standard original game of Jenga? You might have lost a couple under the sofa. You should count those as well. We're going to give you 3 either way on this question. So how many wooden blocks are in a standard original game of Jenga? If you have Jenga at home, it is allowed to get your Jenga out. I can't stop you. But, and I forgot to say this at the start, don't look up the answers otherwise, that would be cheating. Okay, and let's have one more before I have a look at these distance or height and depth answers. We're moving on to question 16, and we're asking, who wrote the novel Gone with the Wind, first published in 1936? If you frankly don't care, that's your business, but who wrote the novel Gone with the Wind? Was that Casablanca? I don't know. Okay, and our next question brings us on to corporate branding. Remember businesses? They used to be successful. Now they're all disappearing, so make the most of them while you have them. But the question is, can you, where are we? Can you identify, we've gone on to the next bit of the picture round. Anyway, look on your picture sheets, I'll bring it up here in just a second. Can you identify the brands from the logos on the picture sheets? Okay, clearly enthusiasm for the spot prizes is waning with the absolutely no consequence and no free beer, but we did get a couple of answers in. I can confirm, Jane, it's not 200,000 metres tall. That would be too much. That's 200 kilometres. Imagine how high that would be. It would be enormous. I have... Sam was around about 5,000 metres. That wasn't as far off. The real answer is of the order of... Oh, hang on, I had this a minute ago. No, now I've forgotten it. The answer was... it was about 20,000 metres, in short. And 20,000 metres... Oh, there we are. We've got a couple more answers coming in. I've gone too fast. Yeah, it's just short of 20,000 metres, and that means that... Who did we have there? That means Tim of the Lockdown Haircuts looks like you are the closest of the answers I've had in. If anyone else has submitted one that I haven't read yet and you come in closer, I'll give you an honorary shout out in a minute. Anyway, this brings us on to the third but last question in this part of the quiz. Time is flying. We're heading towards 8:45, so we are on schedule, gang. Anyway, the next question. It's also the title of a 2008 film, but what was the code name for a 1944 operation to assassinate Adolf Hitler? He's the sort of guy who you can understand people wanting to assassinate. He was a bit of a dick. But what was the name or the code name of a plan to assassinate Adolf Hitler in 1944 that became the title of a 2008 film? So, as we close in on the end of this half of the quiz, let's remind everyone and tell any new people how it all works. Once you finish round one, I'm going to ask you to submit your answers with the button on your Google form. You can then follow that through to a link to the answer sheet for the music round. The easiest thing is to click that and not mess it up, but if you ever do lose the answers, you can go back to the start and click straight through again, and that'll be okay. You'll be asked to put your team name in separately for each of round one, the music round, and round two. Please, guys, try to use the same team name or else it's much harder to know how well you're doing. Anyway, we're going to go through questions 19 and 20 shortly. After that, I'm going to give you a few minutes to discuss, cogitate, get your ideas together, and come back to any questions and answers that you might have missed. After that, I'm going to ask you to submit, and we will go straight on to the music round. We'll hear that a couple of times. We'll have a little bit of a mid-quiz 5-minute break, and then we'll come back doing the answers from round one. You are going to get those marking sheet links through. I'll send them after you've all submitted, and hopefully before the end of the second playthrough of the music round. Now, anyone here last week will know last time we played Hey Mr. Tambourine Man and Bob Dylan punched me in the face for stealing his copyright and took the stream off air. If that happens again, don't panic. We'll come back with a new stream, but just chill out on YouTube, go back to the Chris Malin's YouTube channel homepage and wait for a new live stream to appear. Don't click on any streams that don't say live that look like they might be the quiz. That'll be a recording from a different week, and it'll be fun, but it won't help you get the right questions. Anyway, after that admin, let's romp onwards to question 19. Where are we? So question 19, it's taking us back to the pictures. That's pretty exciting. So question 19 goes to picture 7, and we have 4 famous faces. Look at them all young, adorable. They're sort of young, and there's 4 of them, but what year were they born in, and what are their names? There's 5 points available here, 1 for each name, and 1 if you guess the year. We're generous at Quizcazoatl, so we are going to give you 2 years in either direction. Okay, this is bringing us up to question 20. Now, if you've missed any questions, now's the time to ask me to repeat them. Best place to do that is through the YouTube chat. I'm monitoring it, and not that many people are talking, which I take to be a good sign. If you think it's a sign that my YouTube chat isn't updating, do please tell me. Anyway, if you want a request for a repeat in, get it in now, or else I'm going to give you question 20, then I'm going to give you a few minutes, and then we are going to head into the music round. So, without further ado, question 20. I know some of you are going to be looking at this thinking, that's how it's really spelt. But it's not. We're challenging you to correctly spell the skin complaint pronounced eczema. It says E-X-M-U-H here, but that's wrong. Don't be wrong. Put your ideas up and spell it. It says on the quiz answer sheets that this isn't a spelling quiz. Well, for this question only, it's a spelling quiz. Okay, everybody, I haven't had any requests for additional questions. I'm hoping that you are all on top of your game and ready to rock. And that means it is time to hit submit on the round 1 answer sheets and follow that link through for the music round. Now, in the music round, if we make it to the end, we're going to hear 6 songs that are going to be spread throughout the decades. We're going to start in the 1960s. Then we're going to go to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the noughties, and even the funky groovy tenties. I never know any of those. I wasn't listening. Anyway, we're going to ask you to find the artist and the song for each of these 6 samples. That's 2 points for each question for a total of 12 points available on the music round. You don't want to miss out on that excitement. So, without further ado, here comes the music round for the first play.
Why don't you get out of my life and let me make a new start? Let me get over you the way you gotten over me. Hey, set me free, why don't you, babe? Let me be, why don't you, babe? If you got beauty, beauty, just raise them up. Cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. Yeah, my mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She says boys like a little more booty to hold at night. And no, I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll.
Okay, there's a couple of classics and a couple of puzzlers queued up in there. But what were the names and who sang those songs? And are any of them litigious? We'll find out shortly. Anyway, I'm going to give you those one more time. Remember, you should have submitted your answers to round one by now. I see that we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets of answers in. So well done, teams. If anyone else is out there playing and you feel like you felt like an 11th team in your hearts, you need to get that done. But anyway, we're going to go back to the music round. We're going to wait for about 5 minutes, and then with a little bit of luck, we will come back with the round one answers and then head into round two.
Why don't you get out of my life and let me make a new start? Let me get over you the way you gotten over me. Hey, set me free, why don't you, babe? Let me be, why don't you, babe?
I heard he sang a good song. I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him to listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, a stranger.
But I couldn't find a way, so I'll settle for one day to believe in you. You're my lifeline, angel of my lifetime. Answer to all answers I can find. Baby, I want you to come into my arms. Let me feel the wonder of all of you.
Ladies, you're damn right. You can't read a man's mind. We're living in two tribes and heading for war. Nobody's perfect. We all gotta work it. But fellas, we're worth it. So don't break the law. If you got beauty, beauty, just raise them up. Cause every inch of you is perfect from the bottom to the top. Yeah, my mama, she told me don't worry about your size. She says boys like a little more booty to hold at night. And no, I won't be no stick figure silicone Barbie doll.
Okay, don't panic, we're still on the break. But if you are going to be one of those players who volunteered very kindly to help with the marking, your marking sheet link should be winging its way through the ether to you as we speak. So go to that email address, open your marking sheet, and get ready for the answers when that timer runs down. Okay, everybody, and welcome back to the second half of the quiz. We're going to start off by doing marking. We have a record-breaking 11 teams playing today. Well done, everyone. We have gone truly viral, but not in that awkward way that now suddenly seems so much more meaningful than it did previously, just in that several people are playing. Anyway, Thank you, 9 of you, for agreeing to mark. I will do the other couple myself, so do forgive me if I am just a little bit off the ball for a second while we run through the answers. I will get on top of it. So, without further ado, he said, without further ado, you should have your marking sheets open. Now, the marking is very simple. In the Quizcazoatl publess pub quiz, there's generally 1 point per answer. So if a question has 3 answers, it'll have 3 points. Just fill in the number of points in the column on the right. First for round 1, and then secondly, we have the music round answers up already, don't we? So we'll go to the music round as well. So, keeping this simple, hang on a second, actually. I realise I may just need to sort out those music round answers. I will be back in 30 seconds. Okay, yep, I had indeed got those answers wrong. So hopefully we'll get this right this time. So we're going to be asking in round 1 first, how many hulls does a catamaran have? Well, the answer there is 2. It's a boat with 2 hulls and then water in the middle. Imagine that. We then asked, epilation is the removal of what? Epilation is the removal of what? In fact, I haven't even told you to submit your music round answers, have I? So, I've messed up. You may have seen some music round answers there. Let me, there's always something, isn't there? Anyway, don't change your answers if you've seen them, but we will give you a little bit of time to fill those in if you haven't been cheating, before I ask you to go through it. My apologies for letting the system get ahead of itself. Anyway, epilation is the removal of hair for question 2. Question 3, we came on to some bird brain celebrities. What was the bird-related part? Well, first we had Drake, Aubrey Drake Graham. Then we had the Swift, Taylor Swift. Then we had celebrity architect Christopher Wren. We had Sheryl Crow. We had snooker legend John Parrott. And finally, cricket legend Graham Swan. So that was Drake, Swift, Wren, Crow, Parrot and Swan. 6 points available there. Moving on from that, we have Lexus is the luxury vehicle division of which car manufacturer? And it was Toyota. Lexus is the luxury division of Toyota. We then asked, what is the name of a US Air Force aircraft carrying the president? It's Air Force One. You may have seen Harrison Ford on one once. We asked for the missing items from some Venn diagrams, making set theory fun. We now have, first off, we had Moon. That was parts of song titles that go before river. Moon, river, and so on and so forth. And EastEnders family names. Little bit of soap. Number 2, we had Tonga. That was the surnames of favourite DJs with an A added, and island nations. If you didn't get that, it's all gone Pete Tong for you. And finally, we had macaroni. That was types of pasta, but also species of penguin. Can you imagine that? There's a penguin called macaroni. Anyway, moving on to question 7, we asked which planet had the Great Red Spot. It's Jupiter. That storm is older than we are and will probably outsurvive us. Imagine weather like that. It's probably the climate change. Question 8, and we were asked what is the only European Union member country with exactly 9 letters in its English common name? The answer, Lithuania. If you put something other than Lithuania but spelt it wrong so it has 9 letters, you still can't have a point. Picture 3, and we went on to, where are we? Picture 3, went on to US states with 6 etymologies given in picture form. First off, we had New Hampshire, then Indiana. They named a hero in a movie after it. Then Louisiana, Mississippi. If they haven't got the right number of S's, that's probably appropriate, so don't hold it against them. Then Rhode Island, and finally, either Virginia or West Virginia. We'll let them have either. Don't hold it against them. So New Hampshire, Indiana, Louisiana, Mississippi, Rhode Island, Virginia, West Virginia. Question 10, and we were out exploring. Named by Captain Cook, where would we find the Southern Alps? It's in New Zealand. It's a long way from everywhere, and they are apparently virus-free. Well played. Question 11 took us to the tennis, and we were asked what country totally populated the first 3 Wimbledon finals of the Open era. The answer, Australia. Well played, Aussies. Crikey. Question 12 took us to picture 4, and we were asked to name 5 films. First off, we have the late great Robin Williams with his nose donned for Patch Adams. Then we had the touching tale of the man who would have been Lord of the Glens, the last King of Scotland. We shifted to the less touching tale, that is, Shallow Hal. The even less touching tale, that is, Pretty Woman. And the sort of touching tale, which is Straight Outta Compton. That's Patch Adams, the last King of Scotland, Shallow Hal, Pretty Woman, and Straight Outta Compton. For question 13, we were to UK politics, and we asked, on what day does Prime Minister's questions happen? Officially, it's questions to the Prime Minister. No one ever mentions any answers. Anyway, it happens on Wednesday. It's a hoot, if you like that sort of thing. I wouldn't. Question 14 takes us to predictive text, and we had 2 types of oil. First off, rapeseed, and secondly, cod liver. If you don't notice that there's a space in there, that can be really irritating, so hopefully you got both of them. Question 15, and we went to Jenga. Did your house of cards of the quiz fall down on this one, or did you plough straight on? We have got 54, and we are accepting a range plus or minus 3 either way from 51 to 57. We then asked who wrote the novel Gone with the Wind. They also made it into a film. The answer, Margaret Mitchell. Question 17 took us to picture 6, and we were asked to name the brands represented by each of those 4 logos. Those brands, Porsche, Del Monte, Solo, not Switch. That has to be Solo. If you put Switch, that's an unacceptable payment method. You can take it in your American Express and you can shove it. And finally, Uncle Ben's. We've had a request from someone who needs a better internet connection to have 10, 11 and 12 repeated, so question 10, named by Captain Cook, the Southern Alps are in New Zealand. Then the first 3 finals in the Open era of Wimbledon for question 11 were dominated by Australia, and the 5 films in picture 4 were Patch Adams, The Last King of Scotland, Shallow Hal, Pretty Woman, and Straight Outta Compton. Back to the matter at hand, and we're on to question 18. It's also the title of a 2008 film. It's not The Inglourious Bastards. What was the 1944 operation to assassinate Hitler? It was called Operation Valkyrie. Question 19. We asked for the 4 people in picture 7 and the year they were born. They're all young by local standards. Kendrick Lamar, Keisha, apparently her name has a $sign in. Isn't that interesting? Hilary Duff and Andy Murray. And they were all born in 1987. We're nice people, so we're going to give you 2 years either way on that, 85 to 89. And don't forget for the Jenga, which was question 15, we were also giving 3 either way, so we were accepting 51 to 57 there. And finally, we have, very unusual for the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz, a spelling bee question. We were asked to correctly spell the skin complaint pronounced eczema. The answer, are you listening? E, C, Z, E, M, A. That was a spelling question, so if they spelt it wrong, even a little bit, they don't get the point. Sorry, guys. Your answer sheet should total those up for you automatically. If anyone else would like to hear another answer again, let me know. But otherwise, let's get back to the matter at hand and on with round 2 of the quiz. So, as I say, I hadn't actually told you to submit your music round answers yet, which was an oversight. So if you still have anything to discuss those music round answers, get them in, and in about 60 seconds I'm going to come back with question 1 of round 2. Okay, gang, those music round questions should be in by now. I'm just going to finish marking that last question from that last sheet from round 1 before I report the answers, and we'll go over the music round answers in about 5 or 6 questions' time. But we need to move forward, so let's get to question 1 of round 2. And we're asking, what are the 2 large animals on the Australian coat of arms? Steve Irwin would probably have molested them if he'd had a chance. What were the 2 large animals on the Australian coat of arms? And hopefully that one didn't take too long, so let's keep on moving along to question 2 of round 2, if I can pull it up, which I can't. In case you're wondering, I have way too much stuff running on this computer, and sometimes it just takes a minute to catch up with me. There we go. So, round 2, question 2, and we are going to be asking, which unsightly fruit, a little bit harsh, but so it goes, which unsightly fruit, grown mainly in Jamaica, is a cross between a tangerine or orange with a grapefruit or pomelo? Which unsightly fruit, harsh, grown mainly in Jamaica, is a cross between a tangerine or orange and a grapefruit or a pomelo? Okay, and we're going to be going back to the picture round. Hopefully you're a little ahead on this one already, but let's see how you do on this. Here we have some initials taken from road signs, but can you manage to give us the full text? I'm pretty sure one of them is 28 miles to Birmingham, but I could be wrong. What's the full text supposed to be on each of these road signs? Ah, one of them's a non-road sign. Imagine that. I was misleading you. Let's keep flowing, and we're going to head to question 4. And we're going to be asking, what word means an island chain or island group, and it comes from the ancient Greek for chief sea? It's not one of the piffly little assistant seas, it's the boss, and now it means an island chain or group. Okay, let's go on to question 5, and then I'm going to see about giving us an update on scores after the first round. So question 5, referring to the 2 elements that they contain, is about chemistry. What is the umbrella term for substances including methane, propane, and butane? I do these a little bit for my job, but what are they? There's an umbrella term that refers to 2 elements that methane, propane, and butane contain. What's the term? Okay, question 6 takes us back to the pictures, and what have we got here? Well, I never. Look at those people. They're like real people, but somehow, I don't know, they're younger. They haven't grown up yet. They're toddlers. They're babies. They're bouncing in the crib. But who are they? 4 people to identify from when they were youthful. See how you do. Okay, and now they're all marked. I'm marking 4 sheets this week, so you'll forgive me if it takes me a minute to catch up with myself. Anyway, we have a record-breaking even more than I thought, 12 teams involved, and let's see how they're all doing. The Adder Cottage are at 37, that's strong for round 1. Baby One More Time are at 25, there's some catching up to do, but they're still well in it. The Orcs, as ugly as they are fictional, on 33. Then we've got Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me. They were clearly distracted by the tiebreaker earlier, they're trailing a little on 34. The Inglorious Bastards, out there trying to kill Hitler, even still now, on 37. Equal with the World Health Organization, 37 as well. Panic at the Tesco, they're at 33, while the Fellowship of the Ring, probably out there hunting orcs, on 37. The Cestrians, 222, bringing up the back of the pack, they're at 26, but with everything to play for. The Lockdown Haircuts, they have also clearly been distracted by the tiebreaker. There's a few teams ahead of them as well. They're at 31. Finally, the Footlands, they've snuck out in the lead on 38. And Missing Larry at the Nets, we all are. We truly all are at 35. Anyway, while we're here, we might as well move through also to question, where are we now? Question 7 of round 2. And question 7 of round 2 asks us, which of the 5 pillars of Islam most Muslims do at least once in a lifetime if they are able? Which of the 5 pillars of Islam do most Muslims do at least once in a lifetime if they are able? And the pace never stops here at the Quizcazoatl pub quiz. We are going to move on further to question number 8 of round 2. Oh, question number 8, this is exciting. We're going to the mystery voices and we're going to name 3 people in the clips. Let me just get that active. Where are we for mystery voices? Oh my goodness. So, you're going to hear 3 voices. Listen to how the voice sounds, but also listen to what it says. Sometimes the things that people say are to do with who they are. See whether you can name them. We'll give them to you once, then we'll give you a minute, then we'll play them again, and then we're going to do the answers from the music round. Anyway, here we go. Mystery voices.
Number 1.
And then literally from that day forth, when we went back to LA, people came up to you the whole time in the street. It used to be from Harry Potter. And suddenly one day they're just like, it's Edward Cullen. It's a really strange experience.
Number 2.
I don't sound very good when I'm singing lullabies. It's really weird, like twinkle, twinkle. It's not great. It's like I'm just going through the motions. So there's no build-up. Yeah, I don't sound like a singer when I'm singing nursery rhymes, no. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I
Come on, you're better than
That's
that.
honestly how we do it. That's honestly how me and my kid do it, honestly.
Number 3.
I am interested in English culture and English subculture. Talk about going back to my roots. I'm making a film with Jason at the moment, Jason Statham, and we're halfway through that. And then tomorrow we're off to Los Angeles to carry on with that.
Difficult voices. Hopefully you've had a little cogitate and you're trying to work out who those are. I hear that we are losing some of our listeners. I hope most of you are managing to keep on the stream and keep fighting. Remember, if you need something repeated or even an audio clip played again, just let me know through the YouTube comments and we will try to help you out. Anyway, that takes us back to one more play of the Mystery Voices.
Number 1.
And then literally from that day forth, when we went back to LA, people came up to you the whole time in the street. It used to be from Harry Potter. And suddenly one day they're just like, it's Edward Cullen. It's a really strange experience.
Number 2.
I don't sound very good when I'm singing lullabies. It's really weird, like twinkle, twinkle. It's not great. It's like I'm just going through the motions. So there's no build-up. Yeah, I don't sound like a singer when I'm singing nursery rhymes, no. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I
Come on, you're better than
That's
that.
honestly how we do it. That's honestly how me and my kid do it, honestly.
Number 3.
I am interested in English culture and English subculture. Talk about going back to my roots. I'm making a film with Jason at the moment, Jason Statham, and we're halfway through that. And then tomorrow we're off to Los Angeles to carry on with that.
Those voices are a real mystery. I wonder who they all could be. Anyway, you can keep discussing that among yourselves while you also muse on this one. Now, this is a chap fond in my heart, my great 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 great-ish grandfather, assuming that you can trust the lineage that we've traced, which you probably can't. But anyway, who is considered to have been the first Holy Roman Emperor, reigning from 800 to 814 AD? You may ask, why were the earlier Roman emperors not holy? What did they do wrong? The answer, probably they killed a lot of Goths, which isn't cool. Anyway, the first holy one was 800 to 814, but who was it? Okay, while you discuss the finer points of ancient Roman and or German history, let's go back to the marking and let's look at the music round. So hopefully all of your answer sheets have repopulated with the correct set of music answers. Again, apologies, I did not reset the system properly between weeks. Our 60s song from the Supremes, it was You Keep Me Hanging On. Quite a few people got that one wrong based on the answers I've been looking at, so well done if you got it. You Keep Me Hanging On. Moving on to the 70s, and he was killing me softly with his song. I'm going to allow Killing Me Softly because it's probably what I'd have written, but it's Roberta Flack, Killing Me Softly with his song. On to the 80s, and it's a banger from Fleetwood Mac with Little Lies. Technically, it's not Sweet Little Lies. I think that might be the Eurythmics, but I guess that if you said Sweet Little Lies, we'll probably allow it. On into the 80s, Take That, Could It Be Magic? On to the 2000s, and we had Girls Aloud. It's not a sex machine, I'm not allowing that, that's wrong. It's a love machine, different beast. And then finally, into the 10s, we had Meghan Trainor, and she was all about that bass. So remember, 2 points each. One for the artist, one for the song. The Supremes, You Keep Me Hanging On. Roberta Flack, Killing Me Softly with his song. Fleetwood Mac, Little Lies. Take That, Could It Be Magic? Girls Aloud, Love Machine. And finally, Meghan Trainor was all about that bass. Okay, now another question. It's question 10 and we're on the pictures. This is the only place in the quiz where the numbers on the pictures coincide with the numbers on the questions. Isn't that exciting? It's also normally fiendishly difficult. But can you work out which of these things on the list do not fit in their category? One of these things is not like the other, but which one is it? 4 odd ones out to find. Okay, while you think about that, let's have our second spot prize. Remember, any individual is allowed to send an entry, quizcazoatl@gmail.com, or some other form of messaging that you think I might see. Try not to send a pigeon. I have nets on the windows. Anyway, the spot prize question, he's the greatest Prime Minister we never had, but when was he born? What's the exact birth date of Jeremy Corbyn? Remember, bragging rights go to whoever gets closest to the nearest day. Well, with the music round answers in, it's still a pretty tight pack. That was a good music round for most of you. The Inglorious Bastards had a very good one. They scored a full 12 and they have snuck into the lead. Down at the other end, the Cestrians also pulled in a full 12 points and they are sneaking up on the lockdown haircuts. Everything to play for. In the middle, we're looking for a pacemaker. That takes us on to question 11, and question 11 is, in the lyrics of Paperback Writer, I could work on that, by the Beatles, his son is working for which newspaper? In the lyrics of Paperback Writer, the subject has a son, but for which newspaper does he work? Well, the answers are flooding in on the big C, and I see that a lot of you are pretty close, so it's going to take me a minute to work that one out. But that means that we are going to go in 30 seconds when I've got them queued up to the next on the picture round. Question 12 is going to be picture 11. I'll have those up on screen just in a moment. There we go. We're looking for 4 cities and they all share an initial letter. They're in very different parts of the world, but they share an initial letter. Okay, let's come on to another question. After that, we are going to be going on to our next audio round. This week, no more TV themes, it's going to be musicals. I imagine it'll be dreadful. I can also declare shortly the winner of the Jeremy Corbyn Spot Prize. There was an unfair advantage to one of the players this week. I'll explain in a moment. Anyway, question 13. What are the 3 sports that the current presenter and 2 team captains of A Question of Sport played professionally? I'm pretty sure it's Ian Botham and David Beaumont still, but I could be out of date. Anyway, what sports do they and the presenter all play? And I should clarify, that's 3 points for 3 sports. You don't have to work out what they all played together. That's true, I was getting Bill Beaumont mixed up with David Coleman. That is a disgrace for which I apologise. Okay, gang, onwards and upwards. I'm happy to report that the winner of the Spot Prize is Teresa in Christchurch. She isn't the same age as Jeremy Corbyn, but she does share a birthday with him, so she had a little bit of a head start on some of you. She got the exact day. It was the 26th of May, 1949. Well played there. And without further ado, we are on to our next audio round. Can you name these 3 songs from musicals?
Number 1.
I need to correct myself. What I mean to say is, can you name the 3 musicals from which these songs come? That is, can you name the musicals that these songs come from?
Number 1.
Way back many centuries ago, not long after the Bible began, Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, a fine example of a family man. Jacob and Son.
Number 2.
Such marvelousness it's gonna bring. Got a pocket full of songs that I'm gonna sing, and I'm ready to take on anything. Hooray! Some super fun surprise around each corner. Just riding on a rainbow, I'm gonna be okay. Hey! I'm not giving up today. There's nothing getting in my way. And if you knock me over, I will get back up again. Oh, if something goes a little wrong.
Number 3.
Dedicated to the late great Magic Sam. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago.
Well, I'm afraid that despite popular requests, we're not going to be playing the whole of any of those songs, but because I like you, I am going to give them to you one more time. Remember, you're not looking for the name of the song. I was telling little lies when I did that. You're looking for the name of the musical that the song comes from. Can you work out what it is?
Number 1.
Way back many centuries ago, not long after the Bible began, Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, a fine example of a family man. Jacob and Son.
Number 2.
Such marvelousness it's gonna bring. Got a pocket full of songs that I'm gonna sing, and I'm ready to take on anything. Hooray! Some super fun surprise around each corner. Just riding on a rainbow, I'm gonna be okay. Hey! I'm not giving up today. There's nothing getting in my way. And if you knock me over, I will get back up again. Oh, if something goes a little wrong.
Number 3.
Dedicated to the late great Magic Sam. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, oh baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago.
Okay, that was some pretty powerful music. You can keep on thinking about that, and I'm also going to point you on to the next picture round question. We're on to picture 12, and we have paraphrased some flowers. Can you find another way to say these phrases that would tell you what the flower is? Okay, we are closing in on the final straight for round 2 now as we come on to question 16. And we are asking, and I'm sure you have no reason to know this and any interest is completely legitimate, but in what country is the headquarters of Interpol, the international police organisation? In which country is the headquarters of Interpol? For question 17, we're coming back to the pictures, and we're on to our last picture but one. And guys, we ran out of ink at the Quizcazoatl printers, and we had to leave all the vowels out of these cheeses. Can you imagine? You're going to have to unpick them using only the consonants. What cheeses have had the vowels taken out? We've had a request for a couple of repeats. Remember, if you want anything repeated, you can ask for it on the YouTube comment thread, or hit me up with a message some other way if you can. Anyway, we were asked for questions 11 and 13, I think. I've almost forgotten. I was so busy talking. Question 11 was, in the lyrics of Paperback Writer by the Beatles, his son is working for which newspaper? In the lyrics of Paperback Writer, it says, his son is working for, but for which newspaper? And then question 13, We were asking what the 3 sports were that the current presenter and team captains of A Question of Sport played professionally. What were the 3 sports played by the current presenter and 2 team captains of A Question of Sport? That's for 3 points. Moving back to the questions, we are on to question 18. Doesn't time fly when you are having fun and doing quizzes? That's not question 18, that's still question 16. Question 18 takes us to a 20th century history, and we are asked, which country did the brutal leader Pol Pot rule until he fled in 1979? He wasn't that old. He fled in 1979, but what country was he leading before he did his fleeing? It's a question about Pol Pot. Question 19, and we are on to the last of our pictures for this week. And, as ever, I have been outwitted by my picture display software, which apparently only wants me to show 3 in rotation. Anyway, you all have the pictures up on your picture sheets, so find picture 14, work out what it's asking you. What do we got? Oh, okay, we got red letters on pictures in picture 14. What do the red letters stand for? I'll see whether I can dig that up and get it on screen for anyone who hasn't downloaded it yet. Okay, we are missing a picture. I will be having words with the picture gremlins down in the gremlin office downstairs. Anyway, we'll cope without it. I'm sure you've got the idea. If anyone is having any trouble, remember, it's a bit late now, but you can get the pictures at bit.ly/quizcazoatl_pictures. All of this excitement brings us to the last question of round 2. So I'm going to ask you this. I'll give you a few minutes to get those answers in. If you want anything repeated, now is the time to ask. After that, we'll go to the wipeout round. Remember, the wipeout is on the same form as round 2, even though you go through to the next page, so you do not have to re-enter your team name. Isn't that good? It also means that if you manage to fluff up and accidentally close your browser, you can lose all of your answers for 2 rounds instead of just 1, so try not to do it. Anyway, question 20, here we go. Who was the last Roman Catholic monarch of England, Scotland, and Ireland? We haven't had any Catholics in charge for a while, although it is allowable these days, I think. Have they changed that? They changed it for prime ministers. I don't know. Anyway, who was the last Roman Catholic monarch of England, Scotland, and Ireland? Let me know if you want anything repeated, or else get ready to submit and get on to the wipeout. Okay, we are closing in on the end of round 2. I'm going to give you a 1 minute countdown and then we are going to be going on to the... what are we going on to? We'll be going on to the wipeout round. Okay, it is time to go onwards and upwards, and it is time for the wipeout round. The wipeout giveth, but the wipeout also taketh away. How, you ask, giveth it? Well, first off, the answers are a clue to themselves. The first letter of each answer matches up the final letter of the previous answer, so... Ignoring the round 2 questions, so only from question 2 of the wipeout onwards, you will match up the first letter of the answer to the last letter of the previous answer. That'll help you know whether you've got the thread. How does it taketh away? Well, if you get any answer wrong in the wipeout round, you lose all of the points. So there's going to be 8 points available, but if you get a single question wrong, you lose all of them. That doesn't include leaving a question blank. We allow you not to know. We're not monsters. But if you put in an answer and it's wrong, then you will wipe out. When you come to the marking sheets, you'll see that there's a little drop down to allow you to state whether anyone put an answer in wrong. Leave it as a no if they did okay, but if they got something wrong, put it as yes, and all of those points are gone. Pretty harsh, but... there's one more upside. There's only 6 questions, but if you get all 6 right, we will give you a bonus of 2 points. So there are, as I said, 8 points potentially available here. Anyway, without further ado, it's on with the wipeout. Wipeout question 1. I see that it says Yout 1. There's a really interesting reason why that's going to be true, probably for all of these questions, and I'm not going to explain it. We'll just go with it. Anyway, Yout 1. What's the collective name for the 12 pre-Olympian gods, the generation preceding Zeus? Did you think gods lasted forever? Not so. There were gods before gods. But what is the collective name for the generation of pre-Olympian gods who preceded Zeus? Onwards and upwards, and it's wipeout question 2. Look at that. By the magic of me doing things, I fixed the bit that says wipeout, but we have lost a little bit of text off the bottom, so you genuinely can't have everything. Anyway, wipeout question 2. In biology, what word can be defined as interaction between 2 different organisms living in close physical association? Remember, that's not encouraged at the moment. We're in a lockdown, for God's sake. Think of the children. Anyway, what word can be defined as interaction between 2 different organisms living in close physical association, typically to the advantage of both? Now moving on to Wipeout question 3. What was the title of Oasis's 1994 debut single? Are you old enough to remember that? When Oasis were the kings of the world, sort of? What was the title of their debut single in 1994, though? It's all a blur to me. Onwards and upwards, and remember to check that your first letters are matching your last letters of the previous question for these clues. On to Wipeout question 4, and we're asking James Brindley is associated most famously with the building of what engineering features? He certainly built something, but what was it? James Brindley is associated most famously, not some side jobs he did, no moonlighting. What was his core business? What was he building? I've had a request for a repeat on Wipeout question 2. In biology, what word can be defined as the interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association, typically to the advantage of both? We know during lockdown the interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association is infection and death. But in normal circumstances, what would the term be for that in biology, where it was to the advantage of both, not their death? Stay indoors! Okay, pressing ahead to Wipeout question 5. What is the surname of the person Angela Merkel replaced as German Chancellor in 2005? Can you imagine? 15 years ago. What sort of tin pot dictatorship is she in charge of? Anyway, she's been there for a while as Chancellor, but what is the surname of the person she replaced? Okay, and this is going to be the last question of this week's quiz. It's been a roller coaster. I've enjoyed it. I'm going to give you this. You're going to have about a minute to get your answers in. I'll put up a timer to encourage you. Once you hit submit, it'll take me just a minute to get the answers streamlined, correlated, and turned around in my machine up here. So I'm going to play you a little bit of a song to enjoy the silence through. Once the song is finished, we're going to come back and mark round 2 and the Wipeout round. Anyway, before any of that happens, on to question 6. In which city was Joan of Arc burnt at the stake? It was harsh, generally uncalled for, but she was French and Brexit means Brexit. But in which city was Joan of Arc burned at the stake? Okay, time to get those answers in. And I am going to be back to mark and give you the answers to round 2 and the wipeout in about 5.5 minutes after this song, which is about muffins.
The Muffin Man is seated at the table in the laboratory of the Utility Muffin Research Kitchen. Reaching for an oversized chrome spoon, he gathers an intimate quantity of dried muffin remnants, and brushing his scapular aside, proceeds to dump these inside of his shirt. He turns to us and speaks. Some people like cupcakes better. I, for one, care less for them. Arrogantly twisting the sterile canvas snoot of a fully charged icing anointment utensil, he puts forth a 1/4-ounce green rosette. Let's try that again. He puts forth a 1/4-ounce green rosette near the summit of a dense but radiant muffin of his own design. Later he says, some people like cupcakes exclusively, while myself, I say, there is not, nor ought there be, nothing so exalted on the face of God's gray earth as that prince of foods, the muffin.
Girl, you thought it was a man, but it was a muffin. He hung around till you found that he didn't know nothing. Girl, you thought he was a man, but he only was a puffin. No cries was heard in the night as a result of him stuffing.
Fowler on trombone, Napoleon Murphy Brock on tenor sax and lead vocals, Jerry Bozio on drums, Tom Fowler on bass, Denny Wally on slide, George Duke on keyboards, Captain Beefheart on vocals and soprano sax and madness. Thank you very much for coming to the concert tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Good night, Austin, Texas, wherever you are.
Well, that was a musical odyssey, if ever there was one, and I am now ready to run through the answers. I'll warn you in advance, I am going to take a minute to just finish marking a couple of extra sheets after I've gone through these, but I'll try not to be too long. So, for round 2, our first question. What are the two large animals on the Australian coat of arms? It's a kangaroo and an emu. Kangaroo and emu. Crikey. Which unsightly fruit grown mainly in Jamaica is a cross between a tangerine... Hang on a second. Need to bring myself back here. Hey, everybody. Anyway, which unsightly fruit grown mainly in Jamaica is a cross between an orange, a grapefruit, and or pomelo? It's the ugly fruit. We'll also accept the Jamaican tangelo or the unique fruit. That's an ugly fruit, Jamaican tangelo, or unique fruit. 1 point whichever of those you put. On to the 4 signs. We have reduced speed now, dual carriageway ahead, keep apart 2 chevrons because of the risk of infection, and no ball games. That's reduced speed now, dual carriageway ahead, keep apart 2 chevrons, and no ball games. What word means an island chain and comes from the ancient Greek for chief sea? It's the archipelago. Like an archmagus or an archchancellor, sort of. Archipelago. Chemistry question. What are all of those highly flammable materials? Methane, propane and butane. They're all hydrocarbons. We're going to have to move off those to renewable energy cause climate and such. Who were the 4 people in picture 9? They were normal people, but younger. First we had Jeremy Paxman, then Angela Lansbury, Ellie Goulding, and a man who deserves no further discussion, Prince Andrew. Which of the 5 pillars of Islam must Muslims do at least once in a lifetime, if able? It is the pilgrimage to Mecca. We'll accept visit to Mecca, just Mecca, the Hajj, anything that indicates the general direction of travel and that it's to Mecca. We then had 3 mystery voices. First off, Robert Pattinson. Second, Adele. Finally, we heard Guy Ritchie. That's Robert Pattinson, Adele, and Guy Ritchie. Who is my X times great-grandfather? And realistically, your X times great-grandfather, if you are also of even loosely European lineage, it's Charlemagne. We'll also accept Charles I, King of the Franks, Charles the Great, or Karol der Grote, if you're feeling German. It's not Augustus. He was the first Roman emperor. The Holy Roman emperors were from the Frankish kingdoms around France and Germany and went on to rule mostly Germany for the next nearly 1,000 years. It's a very interesting period in political history. We moved on to odd ones out. First off, we had Michael Caine, who apparently was born Maurice Joseph Micklewhite Jr., crazy name, crazy guy. We had a lawyer present. We had Helen Mirren, and we had a Kunat. That's Michael Caine, a lawyer present, Helen Mirren, and a Kunat. For which newspaper was the Sun working in paperback writer? It was the Daily Mail. Next we went to picture 11 and we had 4 cities, all starting with the same letter despite being in very different locations. They were Nottingham, New Orleans, Naples, and Nairobi. If you think you found a city beginning with N that's very close to one of those red dots, I guess you could try and tell me all about it, but I'm sort of hoping you put Nottingham, New Orleans, Naples, and Nairobi. The presenters of Question of Sport are apparently now Sue Barker, Matt Dawson, and cricket's Phil Tufnell. Sue Barker was a tennis player, Matt Dawson in rugby union, and Phil Tufnell in cricket. We're not going to hold you accountable, or at least I'm not, for saying rugby league instead of rugby union, because personally, I'm not that interested in the difference. On to our second audio, and we had some songs from musicals. The topic of the first one was probably a giveaway. It was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. We then had one, presumably about people writing mean things on the internet. It's Trolls the Musical. And finally, we had The Blues Brothers. 3 points available there. For question 15, we went to picture 12, where we had 6 paraphrased flowers. We had the carnation, forget-me-not, lilac, orchid, foxglove, and tulip. That's carnation, forget-me-not, lilac, orchid, foxglove, and tulip. Question 16, where are the headquarters of Interpol? I thought they were in Geneva. I don't know why, but they're not. They're in Lyon, and that's in France. A point for France. Question 17 took us to picture 13 and the missing vowels. We were asked to name 4 types of cheese that had some vowels missing, and they were halloumi, Edam, Danish blue, and the more unusual but still delicious Ossor Irati, with apologies to anyone who knows how that should be pronounced for the way I pronounced it. Halloumi, Edam, Danish blue, and Ossor Irati. Oh, it's all going wrong for me. Don't mind me, I'm just mismarking the sheet I'm marking. On from cheese to brutality. Which country did Pol Pot rule until he fled in Still want to put him in the past, in 1979. It was Cambodia. We'll also accept Kampuchea. Question 19, we asked for words represented by red letters. First off, we had the Youth Hostels Association with an A. Then we had Near Field Communication for a C. Then onwards, it's not agriculture, it's the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. A is for affairs. Art imitating life. And then finally, the Professional Association of Diving Instructors. So we were looking for association, communication, affairs and instructors. And finally, who was the last Roman Catholic monarch of England, Scotland and Ireland? It's James the 2nd and 7th of Scotland. I have someone here who's put the Scottish number and then got it wrong. I would be delighted to dock them a point for being smug and then getting wiped out, but we'll let it off. Providing they've got the English number right, that's good enough for me. Now, I am just going to take another minute to finish answering round 2 for the other papers that I'm marking, and then we are going to come back and mark the wipeout. Okay, and back with the answers from the Wipeout round. So Wipeout, question 1. What is the collective name for the 12 pre-Olympian gods, the generation that preceded Zeus? The answer for 1 point was Titans. Question 2, it was a long one. In biology, what word can be defined as the interaction between two different organisms living in close physical association, typically to the advantage of both? That's symbiosis. What was the title for question 3 of Oasis's 1994 debut single? It certainly wasn't Cigarettes and Alcohol, that was ages afterwards. It was Supersonic. I am wiping out the team that I am marking. Goodbye. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of lads. Question 4. James Brindley is associated most famously with the building of what engineering features? It's canals. Question 5, and we were asking, what is the surname of the person Angela Merkel replaced as German Chancellor in 2005? Can anyone remember? It was Gerhard Schröder. That's Schröder. We'll let you off if you've got the umlaut over the wrong word. And finally, in which city was Joan of Arc burned at the stake? It was Rouen. That's R-O-U-E-N, in case you were wondering, but remember, we're generous with spelling at the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz. Rouen. For the Wipeout round, remember, underneath the points you have a little drop down. If they didn't get anything actively wrong, that means if they left things blank or got them right, just leave that as a no. But if they got anything actively wrong, they have wiped out. Change that to a yes, and those points will disappear. I'm going to go through the rest of the Wipeout answers that I have at my end, and I am going to be back with you in just a very short number of minutes to tell you who has won this week's Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz. And again, thanks ever so much for everyone who marks it. It's hard enough doing 4. It really helps me to have you guys do some of them. Back in a moment. Okay, we are back. And again, a big thank you to everyone for playing and everyone who's helped out with the marking. It has been a roller coaster, and round 2 has really changed some of those scores. So, bringing up the rear with a very respectable effort. Remember, if you don't know a bunch of trivia, it might be because you know something important. Baby One More Time, well played, coming in at 67. Just ahead of them, they absolutely stormed the music round, but they lost ground again on round 2. Cestrians 222 with 71 points. Just above them, they thought that they were going to storm Gondor, but as ever is the way, they have been pipped to the post by the forces of good. The Orcs and Missing Larry at the nets, both teams all about Orcs, equal on 80 points. Moving into the mid-table, the Addy Cottage, my apologies, coming in at 85 points, a very respectable performance, running just behind last week's runners-up, the Lockdown Haircuts, on 91. We have some more former high performers in the mid-table, the Footlins on 92, and they're just behind the World Health Organization. Looks like they're finally focusing on the virus. They only got 94 this week. Not only are they out there trying to kill Hitler, but they have done a storming performance in the quiz. The Inglorious Bastards coming in at number 4, which means we have 3 teams left with barely a hair's breadth between them. The Fellowship of the Ring, Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me, and Panic at the Tesco. Well, we have the Fellowship of the Ring came in on 3rd with 96 points, which means that in 2nd, it was the same team that was in 1st. Panic at the Tesco and Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me have levelled on 98 and draw this week. This means that next week we'll be able to do another delayed tiebreaker. It's too late to organise one now, so a very big well done to Panic at the Tesco and Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me. Thanks very much for playing. We'll be here next week and all through lockdown. Keep safe, wash your hands, have fun, enjoy yourselves. I've been Little Chris. I'll see you on the other side.